On August 18th, 2020, at 3:49 p.m., Joel Campos, at Campos63 on Twitter, says, "Man, at Respawn Aim Fire went from, hey, do you remember Anthem, to hey, do you remember Chad Mike Innes, real fast." Guess what the fuck, Joel? I'm back, baby! I'm back, and I'm better than ever. Hope you're ready. Woo! Welcome to Respawn Aim Fire, everybody, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast from Affable Idiots. I am Chad Michael Innes, one of your co-hosts. We also have with us here Holden Chicken Filet DePardo.
That's me. I prefer chicken patty DePardo. Chicken patty DePardo.
Chicken patty DePardo. That rolls off the tongue better, but chicken filet is just like so good. Oh, man. And we've got the dreamiest fan base of all time joining us from all over the world right now. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Put us in your ears with your favorite podcast service. You can go over there and give us a little 5-star rating on it as well. Or if they rate you in cakes, give us a lot of cake. You can also put us in your eyeballs by watching us on YouTube under Respawn Aim Fire. And if you want to break the space-time continuum, well, you can have sex in 4 dimensions by going to twitch.tv/affableidiots and watching us live right now as we record it, just like fucking Campo63 is. Hope you like my smiling face, baby boy. Oh, man. You guys, we've got so much to talk about today. We have part 2 of a conversation about Epic Games and the Apple lawsuit. We've got a lot of shit about Orwell's Animal Farm becoming a video game. We've got some Demon Soul rumors. But before we get to any of that, we have some catching up to do. I haven't been on the show in 3 weeks, so we have a segment called What You Missed. And these are all of my opinions about things that you talked about that I didn't get to say anything about. Let's start with the Avengers beta. The Avengers beta, I played the very first weekend of it. Holden, I know you're so curious what I have to say.
I actually am very curious what you have to say.
I went from 0 to hero on this game. I was a 0, but I was putting on the front of a hero. It's one of those like fake it till you make it. Like I know it's going to be bad, but I really want it to be good, so I'm going to just say it's good and hope the universe hears me. Well, lordy, did the universe hear me? Because now I'm a hero, putting on the face of a hero. That's a double hero. That, my friend, is what they call a black hole. And that will transport you to Matthew McConaughey and his daughter. I am so ready for this game. So you played a bunch of shit. You guys talked about the beta, blah, 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 blah. I'm very excited to play as Black Widow. I was telling the boys with an I earlier a couple of weeks ago that like I called dibs on all the characters basically but Black Widow, and then they can all fight over Black Widow. Turns out, I want Black Widow. Black Widow's a boss. She's fucking badass. She turns her staff basically into Darth Maul's lightsaber and goes ham on everybody and is awesome. And she can get inside fucking the Hulkbuster suit and beat
How
the
does she
shit out of
say
people.
ham?
She says ham. Just like Tracy
They
Jordan's
like the
wife.
way, yeah, they like the way she says ham.
Uh-huh.
Very important.
Mm-hmm. I'm V-pumped for that game. It is coming out for me because I bought the edition that's $10 more that gets you early access to it in about 10 days. Coming out September 3rd? 2nd, I think. I think it's the 1st. I don't know. It's like 3 days early from the regular release date. I am pumped as hell. I heard the criticism that a couple of people on last week's episode were talking about, that they were bored with the enemy types and that it was just hitting a bunch of senseless robots. They came out and they said, listen, you little sons of bitches. We know that it's a bunch of low-level enemies that are all boring to hit right now, but that's because you unlock other enemy types through the progression of the game as like a story progression. So you didn't go through any of the game, you're not going to have all those enemy types. So I'm just letting you know, there's going to be more variety than we saw in the beta. It's going to be real sex-like. Very pumped for that. Dallas and I have early access. Matt is trying to return his PSN copy so that he can also go back and buy the early access version instead. It's going to be V-good. Be good. And here's the kicker. My work gave me that Friday, the September 4th off, so that I have a 4-day weekend on Labor Day weekend. Guess who is gonna play that game all weekend and not do anything healthy for myself? That is me, this guy. Holden, are you satisfied with my Avengers beta talk?
I am. I'm really glad you're liking it because I was probably of everyone that we know, I think I was the most critical of
Correct.
Avengers.
Hell,
Absolutely,
you didn't even
without a
download the demo, the beta.
No, I didn't. I was wanted to, but I just never had the time to. I haven't had time to play Ghost of Tsushima. I haven't barely had time to play Resident Evil 4 for Barf, so it just didn't make sense to play Avengers. That's a very full glass of water. But I'm really glad that people are really enjoying it. It's kind of nice to know this is a really. It sounds like it's a really good game, and I'm curious now how it evolves. So yeah, it's very good stuff.
Yeah, there were glitches. You guys talked about it too. Dallas mentioned it. Like he and I were trying to matchmake, and it told us we could be in a thing, but then we couldn't be in a thing. We were having trouble. There are gonna be glitches, especially in day one. But bitch,
name one online game that doesn't have stuff like that.
Exactly, they all suck.
Yeah. All of them. Games are
all
terrible.
of them are horrible garbage. Next up, Fall Guys. I have not been on the podcast since Fall Guys came out.
Oh,
this
yeah,
game,
you haven't.
It is Totes Me Goats La Ciudad de Mexico. It is amazing. It's so fun. We played it now for 2 game nights that I've been a part of. Crowns on crowns on crowns. I don't have any crowns, but I have held a guy back so that Dallas didn't get his tail grabbed. Got Dallas a crown. I did the same.
For you.
Here's the thing. We got to a tail grab. It was game night this week. No, last week? I can't remember when it was. I think it was last week. Game night last week, we were playing. We had a full party. It was Joel, me, Matt, and Alex. And we were all, of the final 6, it was 6 people in the final thing, all 4 of us were a part of it. So we had like a 2/3 chance of getting a crown. We were all running around. Joel had the crown for like the whole first minute. We were all grabbing people trying to get Joel or me a crown because it was like, hey, what's up? You guys don't have crowns yet, but Matt already did and Alex already did, so we were trying to get Joel and me a crown. Got all the way to the end. Some little loser ran up and went, oh, whoop, stole the tail right at the end. Fucking hated it. But we turned the beat around, just like, I forget who sang that. Turn the beat around. And then Matt stole a crown from Joel. So Matt got 3 crowns that night. 3 crowns. It's a really fun game.
I think that my record of like doing anything in succession in that game is not making it past round 1 3 times in a row. That's like the only thing I've done. Sort of that.
The thing
really
that's
bad
so
at that
upsetting
game.
about that game is that trophies are popping all the time for all sorts of random shit. And it teases you because you're getting all of these trophies. You're like, well, might as well go for the platinum. But the platinum's impossible because of that one stupid fucking trophy that says win 5 episodes in a row. I can't even get 1 crown right now, let alone 5. Who do you think I am? Samuel L. Jackson?
That seems impossible. Yeah, also, how disappointing. You get to 4, and you get to the 5th one, and then you lose.
Especially in a game
again.
where like we're constantly having server issues, where it's kicking us out mid-game. You're not getting any of the rewards. Matt, in fact, even got his crown. It brought him back to the main lobby. We started another game. The trophy didn't pop. The crown wasn't in his inventory. And then like 5 minutes later, they both finally showed up. I was like, whew.
Whoa.
Fall Guys, the tits. Going to be hanging on to that for a little bit. Next, xCloud on iOS. You guys talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it should be there.
Yep.
My opinion is basically, I kind of mentioned this a little bit through the chat. I spoke through you, using you as an avatar for my thoughts in the Twitch chat. Yeah, I think that really it's nothing hostile or like it's. I don't think on Apple's part that it's anything hostile. I think it is 100% a really archaic rule that they wrote way back when the App Store launched that they just never updated because they didn't foresee this streaming future, and now they don't know how to rewrite it without being unfair to some types of people, and so they're just trying to push it off and not deal with it. But now that it's in the public eye, and xCloud can't get on it, and Stadia can't get on it, and all of these other streaming, and GeForce Now can't get on it, we learned OnLive couldn't get on it, like none of these people are able to get on it, and it's getting so much notoriety. Hopefully things will change. Put the pressure on. Tweet at Apple. Say, at Apple. Give me that xCloud.
Unfortunately, everyone's talking about something else right now, which is totally
I know. We'll get to that
from...
in a second.
Yeah.
The final thing I need to talk about, I need to set the record straight for PSVR porn. It is a thing. You can do PSVR porn. I know from multiple experiences, all had with myself
Tanner
and PSVR.
may or may not be the friend that told me that PSVR porn works.
Yes, it does. Here's the steps. It does not work through your PlayStation's browser. You must have an external hard drive connected with video files on it, and you play them. They have to be a specific type of 3D video file. They have to be the one where it's separated horizontally into 2 lenses. There are 2 types of VR things. There's like the flat one, and then there's stereoscopic 3D. If you can find some free stereoscopic 3D VR porn, put it on there, watch it. You'll never experience anything like it. The downside of PSVR
except
porn,
for real sex.
except
that
for
might
real
be
sex.
a little,
Well, it's still not like that same experience. It's a different, also excellent experience. There is a downside. There is a very dark side of PSVR porn, and that is you have a headset on the entire time, and if you're savvy, you have literally headphones on as well. You can't see the real world. Yeah, you might have some things there for cleanup. You don't know where they are or how to reach for them. You all know out there that we'll call it confetti, is unpredictable. And when you are in this virtual world, you have no idea where this confetti might land. It might land on the floor. It might land on your headset. It might land on your bed. It might land on your partner's wristwatch. Who knows?
And confetti is very hard to clean up.
It is, especially if you get it in carpet.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I don't know what's happening or where this is going, but it feels excellent. So I just need to set the record straight that, yes, Dallas, you can get PSVR porn on your PSVR. You just have to download it to a hard drive first. But then you have to specifically make sure that it is in the folder called videos. So you can't name it like text documents.
I look at all my tax documents on my PlayStation 4, all of them. It's the only place I want to look at my tax documents.
Me too, 100%. That is what you miss. All of my opinions about everything that happened. Let's get into playtime, Holden. You haven't talked in a little while, so I want to hear your voice again so I can remember what beauty sounds like. Holden, tell me about what you played.
I'm going to talk for a very, very long time because I played Resident Evil 4 for our BARF, which we'll talk about at the end of the month. And then I didn't beat it yet, but I'm playing it. And then I played Ring Fit Adventure, which we'll talk about when we do our next Ring Fit Adventure thing. Chad, would you like to continue talking now?
Yes, I like that you mentioned Ring Fit Adventure because guess what's happening tomorrow? If you're listening to this not live because you didn't go to twitch.tv/AffableIdiots, you can go to youtube.com/ because you haven't subscribed to us yet. And you can find Ring Fit with RAF, Day 30. We got together with all your favorite boys with an I, and we all talked about our successes, our misses, and what we're going to be doing differently over the next 30 days. With Ring Fit, it was super cool. It was super great. It was a nice supportive group of people, which is a real change from our usual dynamic, where we're usually cutting each other down, telling each other you suck, beating each other to death with baseball bats in real life. No, it's really great. It's a great experience. I really enjoyed doing it. That's out on Monday morning for Motivation Monday. And what else did I play? 2 things, Holden, with some significant background. 2002, 7th grade. Mrs. Barefoot's algebra crass.
Algebra crack.
Mrs. Barefoot's algebra class. I had a piece of graph paper in front of me. Graph paper, as you know, is infamous for having squares on it. And on this graph paper, as you know, 7th graders are infamous for drawing block letters on things. Guess who drew Lincoln Park in big block letters, perfect right angles and squares because of the graph paper? Put it on there. I wrote, in the end, it doesn't even matter at the bottom of it, because guess what? 2002... the year that the Hybrid Theory music video came out, the year I discovered Linkin Park as a band, the year I had my first favorite band. Now, why Mrs. Barefoot's 7th grade algebra class, Holden, you might ask? Because that same day, as I'm drawing Linkin Park on my graph paper in Miss Barefoot's 7th grade algebra class, Jeremy Presson walks over to my side of the room, catches a glimpse of what I have on my paper, and he says, "You like Linkin Park?" And I go, "Yeah, I really like Linkin Park. They're really good." And he goes, "You don't like Linkin Park. Name one song." I got nervous.
Why would someone even say
right?
that?
Because it's 7th grade, and they're like, "I'm going to challenge you on something that you say you like." Apparently, he's the authority on Linkin Park, and no one's allowed to like them unless he knows about it. Jeremy Presson sat there while I got really nervous, and I said, "I like the song It Doesn't Even Matter." Immediately got shot down. He's like, that's not even the name of the song. The song is In the End. I felt like a complete loser that day. And it's something that I've thought about many times over the last decade and a half since it happened. Decade and 8/10, some might say. All of that is to say that Linkin Park came out to Beat Saber. Not came out to. It's not like they came out of the closet to Beat Saber. They came.
But if they did, Beat Saber would be very accepting, of course.
They partnered with Beat Saber for some DLC content. They have 11 songs spanning multiple albums like Meteora, Hybrid Theory, and more. And Holden, it's like the every few months when Beat Saber releases something new and it just completely refreshes the game in my eyes. And it's just so wonderful to listen to these songs again because I haven't listened to a lot of them in so long. But it takes me right back to 7th grade algebra class. I pee in my pants while I'm playing it because I'm nervous Jeremy Preston's not going to approve of me liking Linkin Park for some reason. And so here's how I'm doing with the game. These levels are some of the best. The beat mapping on these levels are some of the best beat mapping. That is like where the squares are and how you have to hit them in what order, what rhythm, that kind of stuff. They are more difficult than most other Beat Saber content. There were several times. You know me. I'm a Beat Saber extraordinaire. And several times attempting these on Expert, I was failing the songs. Sometimes 3 times on one song I would fail. And I would finish some of them with only A ranks and not S ranks.
I'm really disappointed in you, Chad.
What I love about these games is the way that the beat mapping is like slightly different from pack to pack. Like the Panic at the Disco pack has 4 songs, and they're really fun. It is a really fun, like, you're just bouncing around, bopping around, singing. Not singing. Well, I sing sometimes to it. But just slicing up these little cubes. But this one, I feel so in tune with the drum track on these. Like, I was struggling a lot with it at first, but then I realized that all of the hits were very in tune with the drum track. So I was like intensely listening to that as I got along. Boom. S ranks immediately. S on S on S on S on S. S stands for snakes and sexy. Sexy snakes on every single one. Speaking of sexy snakes, 2 S's, double S rank on the first 2 songs of this, which means I got every single note on Expert in one run through. You're welcome, America. I am the Beat Saber King. Get this. I'm also so Raven because I also attempted High Hopes by Panic at the Disco on Expert Plus difficulty without a no-fail modifier on. Usually, anytime I do Expert Plus, I know I'm going to fucking just get destroyed by the song. So I put on the no-fail thing, which takes my score down by like 40%. Always get a D rank on it. I had a little confidence boost from these double S's. I got a fucking A rank with the no-fail turned off. I missed like 20 notes in the entire Expert Plus. I'm feeling like I'm on cloud 9. Our pets' heads are falling off, and I get to eat the heads. That's how I'm feeling right now. Woo! Kick me in the sack. Chad is back. That's right, Dallas. What are you wearing, you sexy snakes? I am wearing a kind of funny KFAF Spring Break 99 t-shirt from patreon.com/kindafunny. And I am also wearing... You know what? Fuck you, Matt. If you watched the beginning of the stream, you know exactly what I was wearing because I got up, fucking called Campo 63 out. That fucking ass. Called him out. You could see my shorts. You could see my MeUndies, lavender-colored, solid color underwear. Holden, that's number 2 of what I played. Let me tell you about Destiny 2 Solstice event. I have put about 15 hours into this event this week. And it's amazing.
You almost had like there was like a tear of joy. I could like hear tears of joy coming out as you said that.
Yes, it's amazing. It's so good. Here's the thing. Nothing's different. It's nothing different than just a ton of other bounties. Like, it's just bounties hidden within bounties that are now hidden within your armor. But it's a yearly event, which I just learned this year. Because as you know, we really didn't start playing Destiny 2 until October of last year, when it went free to play for everyone. It's a free event that happens every single year. And it's just like to celebrate before the next large content drops. And so it's about, you unlock this really shitty armor, and then you do all these bounties associated with it, and after that, you get this legendary armor, and you're like, oh my god, this looks so cool, but it could look cooler. It turns into a magnificent armor, and then the magnificent armor gets glow on it, and you look so fucking cool. And I am this close to getting the magnificent armor, not the glow. I don't know if I'm going to get the glow. Who knows? It's going to be really tough. But I'm having so much fucking fun with it. Matt and I were on last night grinding and grinding and grinding. We were playing some Crucible, Magusi. We were actually doing pretty good. So we were doing some Destiny 2 Solstice. It ends on September 8th. I'm totally going to get that armor. I have to get that armor before Avengers comes out. I almost forgot the name of Avengers. We all know that's all I'm going to be talking about for days on days on days. And here's another thing. I am officially level 98 out of 100 on the season pass for Destiny 2 this season, which expires in November. I only have like 80 days to get 2 more levels. I'm feeling fucking great. That's it. That's all I played this week.
That's it. That's all the games you played. Just a little bit of games.
Just a little bit of games. A lot of one game. I had a week off of work to transition. I'm living, I don't know if I've addressed it on this podcast. I'm now living back in North Carolina on the East Coast with all of you Yuhas. In my childhood bedroom. Still has all the glow-in-the-dark stars in it. It still has all of the knickknacks and shitty wall art that I put up all over the place. You can't see that because I have this cool-ass screen behind me. So yeah, I'm back here for at least the next 4 or 5 months until I'm allowed to go back into the office in California. Because if I'm going to work from home, why pay $4,000 a month for rent? Just kidding. I only paid a third of that for my room. But that's it.
I like Matt's comment here about the Destiny Solstice event, not your apartment. It's just bounties disguised as other bounties, disguised as orbs you have to slam into something. It's glorious.
Here's the thing. There are now hundreds of orbs everywhere. If you thought you liked orbs before, get ready. Get a whole bushel full of condoms on because you're going to be going through them. You got void orbs to pick up. You got solar orbs to pick up. You got arc orbs to pick up. Sometimes you have to pick up arc orbs on an arc day while wearing an arc subclass. Sometimes you have to pick up void orbs on an arc day while wearing a solar subclass. Sometimes you just get to eat whatever fucking orbs you want. Nom, 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 nom. Break your jaw on them like a fucking jawbreaker. Who knows? It's Destiny. I am obsessed. Hold on. Speaking of obsessed, let's move on to the Fetch Quest log. Oh, it's good to be back. Moving on to our Fetch Quest. Fetch Quest is like the headlines that are worth pointing out, but we don't think they're worth discussing much about. So we're going to just run through these real quick, starting with Orwell's Animal Farm to receive video game adaptation, says Chris Moyes at Destructoid. I bet girls always are like, oh my god, I hate his name. Ew, Moyes, I hate it. That's every girl ever, except for usually they're saying moist. From the creators of Reign and Reign Game of Thrones, this game is coming to PC and mobile this fall. I assume, because of Reign, that it will be a text adventure type game. Who knows, though? It's impossible to tell, and no one can find out. Next up, we have Pokemon Cafe Mix reaches 5 million downloads, says GameIndustry.biz. 5 million downloads. Now, it is a free to start game on iOS. Is it on Switch?
It's on Switch as well, yeah.
Hell yeah. You're just mixing shit in a cafe and, I don't know, cooking mama your fucking Pokemon together. Great. Glad to see that IP still going. Oh, God, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Glad to see that they have that going strong. Hold on. This is legit a real bummer.
Yeah, absolutely. This next
Oculus VR will start requiring Facebook accounts, and users aren't happy, says Matt Kim on IGN. The day after I said on Instagram, I already don't have a Facebook, but then on Instagram, I posted on my stories, I did a little poll. I said, should I delete my Instagram? And I said, perhaps and maybe. And most people voted for perhaps. The day after I announced that I might be deleting my Instagram, they say, today we're announcing some important updates to how people log into Oculus devices while still keeping their VR profile. Starting in October of 2020, everyone using an Oculus device for the first time will need to log in with a Facebook account. Now, it's important to note there that anyone using an Oculus device for the first time needs to use Facebook. If you already have an Oculus account, you've been using it with your device, you have 2 years to link your device with your Facebook account. After which, it will no longer function for many of the software things. So it's a horseshit thing. It's a horseshit thing.
Yeah, I can understand from like their end how that might be simpler for their systems to kind of have one account as opposed to working with multiple. I get that. One of the, and I guess I don't know if I can say this. I'm just gonna say it. When I was working with Oculus through a different company, I didn't work for them. They'd always say like, oh, and be sure to let people know that they don't have to have a Facebook account. Like that was like a selling point that they wanted people to know about. You don't have to have the Facebook account for it. And that actually would get people to sway and go, maybe I will consider it. Because I was thinking about using this for VR porn, and I don't want Facebook to know about my VR porn habits. Like, no lie. Like, I'd hear that, not like all the time, but like enough that it was notable. So this is a stupid move, I think, on their part for that reason. But I get why they would do it. I just don't think it's necessarily the most consumer-friendly thing they could have done.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
It's
just
gross.
like, Facebook, get out of my life. I don't want you. And you, like, yes, it's under the guise of, it's going to make it simpler. We only have one thing to track, blah, blah, blah. And by one thing to track, it's everything you do so that we can sell you all of these ads and sell all of your personal information.
Yeah, true.
Speaking of VR porn, Dallas, I see you're in the chat now, but I didn't see you in there earlier. Yes, you can watch VR porn on PSVR. It's not that difficult. Go back to the beginning of this episode and listen. Next up, Holden.
Yeah.
This is time for you to get your multiple condoms on. Now, Agent 47 solves murder mysteries, too, says Brett Makedonsky at Destructoid. There's a new level in Hitman 3 that sees Agent 47 masquerading as a detective to infiltrate Thornbridge Manor in Dartmoor, England. Does this tickle your pickle?
Oh, it tickles my pickle. I loved Hitman Season 1. I liked Absolution. That was actually my first introduction to Hitman, which is kind of controversial for some people, I can imagine, because it's not the most well-liked game in the franchise. But Season 1 was great. I have Season 2, and I haven't played it, and I've considered putting the backlog, or the barf. But I don't know
I think
yet.
you did put it in there 1 month.
I did. You're right.
I
I did.
I'll play it.
Now I'm more certain I want to do that. But I also don't know if I just want to play Hitman 2 kind of on my own time, where I don't have to like a month to rush through and beat it. Because kind of the fun about Hitman is like playing levels over and over
Wasn't
again.
Hitman 1 like 3 levels?
6.
6 levels?
Yeah.
And
but the fun of the game is
a level in like 10 minutes.
That's because I knew what I was doing. That's because I knew what I was doing. But the fun of the game is playing levels over and over and over again to kind of see what changes. But I like this, going back to Thornbridge Manor here, that is such a cool concept for a Hitman level. Like, you already kind of have the disguise going in for a very specific purpose, and I'm kind of curious how they play with that. They didn't say this, but like I think it'd be cool if you're trying to solve a murder mystery to find out which target to kill. To know, like, oh, that's the one I have to kill. And if you don't kill the right target, you lose. I think that'd be kind of cool. They didn't say that's what it's going to be, but I think that would be awesome.
And if you kill the wrong target, then you just fucking run, put on a person's face-off style, and pretend you're someone else, and then go kill everyone else.
Yeah.
That's how that game works, right?
Absolutely how it works.
Hold on, speaking of Hitman 3, Epic Games has landed them as an exclusive on PC, says Alex Calvin at PC Games Insider. What? That's so crazy. Epic Games will come up later in this episode again. Just you wait. Just you wait. Does that offend you at all?
No.
Exactly. There's a strong possibility of a Nintendo broadcast next week. This week, if you're listening right now. Suggests industry insider Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. Is it this week? Yeah, it's this week. Jeff Grubb, or Jeffy Grubb, has heard on that a Nintendo Direct may happen on August 28th. And given Nintendo's track record, it could be possible that we don't find out until literally 20 minutes before, like the Indie Direct that we'll be talking about later. He is saying lower your expectations, however, because there should be a bigger Direct coming in September.
About time.
About time, just like that movie that I never saw. Do you think it's crazy that it is almost the end of August and we don't have official word from Nintendo about what's happening the rest of the year? We don't have word from Sony and Microsoft about prices, pre-order dates, release dates for their consoles. It's insane what's going on with these companies.
The most plausible scenario I can think of is that they know the world's going to end in October, and they just don't want to lead anyone on about it or tell anyone directly. They wanted to spend time with their families, so they're just not going to plan for any game releases. They know PS5 is not even going to come out. That's what it is. It's got to be that.
And they just don't want to cause panic.
No other explanation. Yeah, they don't want to give the bad news. Because then you might not buy video games. And they want to make as much profit. They want to play. They want to do a Jack Donaghy, and they want to play a game and see who can get the most profit before the world ends.
You know what they need?
What
they have a nuclear bunker where they're going to watch the world end, and they are playing a game who can fit the most strippers in, and they have to get more money so they can buy more strippers. So they have to sell more games.
And
That
this
makes
is why
sense.
Sean Layden was let go, because he didn't want to partake in the games at all. And they're like, well, if you don't want to partake in the games, you don't have a place here at Sony anymore. And that's why he's gone. They've known about this for a while.
Yeah.
True.
Do you think
Facts.
Sony's in charge of killing the world?
No, they're just aware of it.
Very good. Right answer. Finally, on our Fetch Quest log, Deathloop has been delayed to 2021, says Dennis Patrick at GameRanks. Deathloop was that kind of cool looking game, and now it's kind of not going to come as soon as we thought.
It's fine.
Sweet. Holden, we've got a pretty meaty main quest, so I would like to run through these next couple of quest logs with some speed and some grace.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about a lot of these quest logs, to be honest, anyway,
Great.
so that shouldn't be a problem.
Great. First up on our Microsoft Quest log, Target U.S. retailer system indicates an Xbox One S V2 console. Says Dennis Patrick at GameRanks. There apparently, on the Zebra inventory system, is a listing for a product called Xbox One S 1 TB terabyte V2 for $299.99. The tweet revealing the listing has been removed, but there's still a picture floating around out there. And if you're looking at my screen, you can see it. That's me. I'm looking at my screen. Holden, what do you think this V2 might be?
I'm honestly, I think it's probably just the Series S. There's some reason listing it like this in the system, because if it was really like an Xbox One S that's gonna cost $299 as like a new version at the same price it is now, when new consoles are supposed to be coming out in the fall, that seems weird to me. I can see them saying, hey, here's a new discless revision of the One S or something like that. That's like $199 or something like that, but they wouldn't keep it the same price. So I don't think it's actually an Xbox One S. It's got to be something in the series line, I would imagine.
Interesting.
But it also might
thought
be
about that.
a false entry. Who knows? They could also be that.
Could be. I'm assuming my first thought when looking at this and news story and looking at the photo was that it's just probably an Xbox One S just with a rebranded box, maybe, or maybe they
that's
have
possible
like
too.
with like a bundle or a box that now says like compatible with games coming to Xbox Series X or something like that.
Yeah. I could
Something
totally
to
see
show
Microsoft
now the
doing
Xbox
that.
ecosystem instead of just the Xbox One ecosystem now.
I like where your head's at there. That makes a lot more sense. And like they keep it at $299 right now because that's what they're currently charging for a One S in the system.
Right.
But it might change later on.
Yeah.
And they're going to sell it for $5.
They have, according to the screenshot, 0 on the floor. They have 0 in the back and 0 on hand. So don't ask if they have any in the back. They don't. They also are at about 3/4 battery.
Yeah. The
Next
image is
up,
removed,
Halo?
though, so I do think it's legit.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite devs deny claim that Halo TV show impacted development, says Jonathan Dornbush at IGN. Basically, people are like, oh my god, you were spending too much time on the TV show over at Showtime that you now like fucking didn't do your work on Halo Infinite. And people who don't understand businesses and how they're structured and how they work with content providers and content creators is like, no, they're two completely different things. In fact, the directors of these projects probably aren't even talking to each other at all. Here's the quote from 343. 343 Industries has a devoted transmedia team that is working with Showtime on the creation and production of the Halo TV show. This group is separate from the Halo Infinite development team. These are two completely independent projects with dedicated teams and leadership that do not impact one another.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's just really
Still-
dumb to think that they would interfere with each other. There's not like a team of 15 people who just work on Halo. Anything Halo, it has to be that team working on it. Like that's not how these things happen. Not even remotely close.
Just as a reminder, I do have an official reminder for Friday, December 31st, 2021, to check and see if the Halo TV series exists, or if it came out. So
Yeah.
They've got a year and a half, designers, to make it work on Tim Gunn. Next
gonna
up, and
work,
finally
it's
for our
gonna
Microsoft Quest log, the new Xbox experience, connecting you to fun wherever you want to play, specifically from Xbox. There is the new Microsoft experience is the new UI, the new kind of user experience improvements that are coming to Xbox One, PC, and xCloud next month. They are actually starting to roll out. I think some of them are starting to roll out now. But here's the thing. I think it's really cool that they're having one unified look and feel across all of these different platforms, which is really great. They're all, of course, going to be available on Xbox Series X whenever it comes out as well. The focuses of this new design are to make it faster to use, more approachable, and more visually appealing. Great, because I have no idea how to navigate my Xbox, and anytime I want to do anything, I end up crying. Specifically, some things that happen. The home screen loads 50% faster from the boot up, 30% faster when closing a game, and the needed memory will also be reduced by 40%. But here's the best part of the new experience, Holden.
I knew you
the
didn't
Xbox
like this.
mobile app.
Because you already told me.
On your phone. You can go to your phone's app store. You can't download Fortnite on it, but you can download the Xbox mobile app. And you go beep boop bop bop beep boop boop boop. And then you have the Xbox app. Here's what's going to happen. On your Xbox, imagine taking a screenshot. I know, it's impossible to imagine because it's buried in some menu somewhere and you've never done it before. But if you could figure out how to do it, maybe with this new UI, it's easier to do. Maybe with the new share button, it's easier to do. Point is, you take a screenshot, you take a video clip, it sends it to the Xbox mobile app on your phone so you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. You can text it to somebody, you can share it on Twitter, you can put it on your OnlyFans. You can do whatever you want with these things. And it's amazing. And I can't believe they haven't done that before. Whereas like with Nintendo, you get to tweet it or it's trapped and nothing else happens for the rest of your life. So I'm very excited for that. And I hope something similar comes to PlayStation because that's where I actually take my screenshots.
It makes too much sense to not do that. It's so obvious.
Yeah. Especially like with PlayStation, they have literally like 6 apps. They have PlayStation Communities app, PlayStation Messages app, the PlayStation app, PlayStation Buttfuck app. They have PlayStation Nipple Twist app. They have so many things. Speaking of PlayStation Nipple Twist app, our Sony Quest log. There's a rumor that we're entering Rumor Town, Rumor Central. There's a dev that has apparently leaked details about the PS5 UI, themes, and Activision partnership. Says Chandler Wood at PlayStation Lifestyle. Disclaimer, Holden. Don't you get your little panties in a twist thinking, oh my God, this is so real. It's so exciting. Nope. This is coming from an anonymous source on Reddit. But here's some information nonetheless for us to talk about because PlayStation's not going to tell us about it, and we want to know. So here it is. PS5 UI will, quote, be very similar to the PlayStation 4 UI in a lot of ways. Now, already, we know that PlayStation has said no pixel will go untouched. The entire thing's getting an overhaul, so I don't know how much I trust this, but let's talk about it. Games and apps peek up from the bottom and reveal themselves fully when selected. Opening a game zooms into the image like you're jumping into a portal to your game. For me, cool. I kind of think about like a little Rolodex at the bottom of the screen, and the one that you're on pops up, and then you choose it, and Ratchet and Clank style, you're like, and suddenly you're inside of it. That's how I imagine it. Information about a game will appear whenever you're hovering over it. So similar to kind of what happens now where you can see like who's playing the game, but you can also see events such as double XP weekends. Along the top, you will have several sets of options with a couple of new ones. You'll have PS Plus, you'll have PS Now, you'll have alerts, which replaces notifications. You'll have friends, party, forum, profile. There are 2 blank spots with question marks in them. There's a settings and a power off. Holden, a couple of things here. One, a lot of those are familiar. We all know them from our PlayStation because it takes us 14 years to access any of them. But the question marks, the leaker says they were specifically told to keep those spots blank. I hope they are for some kind of new crazy features in the UI that we just don't know about yet that are going to blow our fucking diapers off.
I imagine one of them would be like the Create Studio, where you can kind of work with some of the stuff working with that shit. I think that would make sense. What's
Perhaps.
the second one, though?
I'm hoping some kind of backwards compatibility mode.
Oh, yeah.
You click on this and it emulates a PS3 and you can play your PS3 games.
It'd be cool if it was just like a Sekiro button, and I can just click that to always jump to Sekiro very quickly. I would like that.
Yeah, there's going to be 4D themes, though, that change the background music icons.
Chet's like, I'm just going to ignore that.
So not only does it have like moving backgrounds and themes and music and icons, stuff like that, like we're used to, but they also now play sounds and do haptics in the little controllers that you have in your hands, your DualSense controllers. And finally, as part of this rumor that this dev has leaked, there's allegedly some kind of partnership between Activision and PlayStation for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on PS5. Now, this should come as no surprise because PS exclusive content on PlayStation is not out of the norm. I think there's like 30-day windows on some shit. I don't know. I don't play Call of Duty. That's a lie. I play tens of hours of Call of Duty a month. But yeah, they've had partnerships over the last generation as well, so I assume that will extend into PS5 as well.
Yeah, I mean, technically it's a different partnership because the first partnership was only for PS4, so they have to kind of re-announce that stuff. And since PlayStation, clearly won the last generation, I'm sure they'll be re-announcing a lot of the same partnerships, and you'll hear a lot about that over the next few months.
It's important to note that you're saying re-announce, not renounce, which would be the opposite, and that's taking it back.
I like to do it afterwards. Like, we're announcing this partnership in PS5 with Black Ops. Just psych, we're taking it back. You can't have it, Activision.
Okay, so a few weeks ago, the last time I was on the show, we talked about, maybe it was Jeffy Grub. Somebody mentioned that, hey, they're going to reveal the PS5 UI officially because there's an update going out to dev kits by the end of August, and they need to reveal it publicly so that it doesn't leak. It's been 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since Bare Naked Ladies. We don't know anything about it. And this is something that's so important to me. Like, for some reason, I need to know the cool software features like Share Play and like the share button, whatever the create button. Like, I need to know these things, or else I'm not going to be able to sleep at night.
You haven't slept since the PS5 was announced way
It's
back
true.
in April of last year. You haven't slept at all. I've been
true.
worried about you.
I appreciate your concern.
You're welcome. I'm always thinking about you.
One thing you shouldn't be worried about is Demon Souls development, because Demon Souls could be closer than expected if a recent rating is any indication, says Jordan DeVore at Destructoid. The game has been rated by the South Korea ratings board, which is, things get rated all the time, and they don't necessarily come out right away. However, there's a trend in Korea that they only get rated pretty much when they're about to launch. For comparison, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which we know is a holiday 2020 title, just got rated 17 days ago. So the fact that Demon Souls is getting rated, that might also be a launch title. And Holden, how fucking cool would it be if on day one, with our PS5s, we can play Spider-Man Miles Morales and we want to beat some boop bops up, and then we can go get beat up by some boop bops in Demon Souls at the same time. And because of the SSD and multiple game saves, we can bop back and forth between the two seamlessly without having to wait for loads.
Bippity boppity boo.
Bippity boppity who? Are you jacked as fuck for Demon Souls?
Oh, I can't wait to play Demon Souls. See, last week I was talking about how I might not get a PS5 this year because I'm not, feeling the launch.
Yeah, I was listening to that and I was like, horse shit.
No, I'm dead serious. And now I'm like, all right, I guess if this happened, that would sway me. It would easily sway me, but I guess I have a hard time imagining Sony releasing two first-party games that close to each other. And I feel like this would make a lot of sense for that early January or February game for 2021, which still wouldn't be far away. It really would be a month or two after Miles Morales, depending on when the PS5 comes out. It says holiday. That could be December.
Yeah. The last Bluepoint game also was Shadow of Colossus, and that came out February, I believe, because I think it was my
February.
birthday game.
Yep. And it's become a popular time slot to release games.
Yeah. I want it to be now, though. Moving on to things that are happening now is reading a blog post. Hey, devs detail unique ways that they're using PS5 DualSense controllers, says Chandler Wood at PlayStation Lifestyle. In a blog post posted on PlayStation Blog, there were a ton of really cool ways of people describing with text ways that you might experience feeling your games with the DualSense controller. And kind of like VR, I don't think it's something that we're ever going to be able to fully understand while reading about it, but there are some cool things that I can use my imagination for that were revealed during this. I don't think I want to go through all of these, but I want to pick out some really cool ones, and then if you have any others you'd like to add as well, we can do that. The one that I think is super fucking cool is in Spider-Man, Miles Morales. You'll be able to feel where the damage is coming from based on your like grip on the controller. So if somebody's attacking you from behind or the left, like you'll be able to feel that on the controller. But then this one, listen to this, Holden. Are you listening?
No.
Holden, start listening.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Venom punches shifts a bioelectrical cackle. I think that was supposed to say crackle. From the left of the DualSense and hits the right side
cackle in the
on
article.
Impact. Does it say cackle in the article?
It says cackle.
Oh my God,
in the
Chandler
article, yeah.
Wood. What the fuck are you doing? So it starts on the left. You're pressing and holding the square button, which is on the right side of the controller. But you feel this crackle across the left side of the controller, and then it finally boom, hits the square button on the right side of the controller. How fucking cool is that going to feel?
I would like it if it was a cackle, though. And it's just like,
They do have a speaker on there.
It does, yeah.
I'm going to call out one more, and then I'll let you... Oh, two more, and then I'll let you say anything that you think is cool. In Godfall, which we all got sold on the last time we saw it, it's another kind of almost like a Souls-like / God of War-like game. You will be able to know what weapon is in your hand without looking at the AI, just from the way that it feels in the controller.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds so fucking dope. And then you're also going to be able to use spatial awareness through haptics to help spot enemies. So maybe you'll, again, kind of like with Spider-Man Miles Morales, you'll be able to know where enemies are by feel rather than having to look or hear. And then the last one I want to call out was... I actually don't even know if it's on this. There was the one with your... It's the driving game. Oh, no, it's the shooter. It's Deathloop. That's what it is. It's Deathloop. Deathloop, the adaptive triggers while you're shooting your gun. If your gun jams in the game, you literally can't pull the trigger. Your trigger jams on the controller until you unjam your gun.
That's a very cool feature.
Game. It's so fucking cool. And they mentioned that like you will feel that on the controller before you even see the animation happening of the gun jamming on the screen. Mm-hmm. So it's so fucking cool. Holden, do you have any others that you like that you want to call out?
The one I'm the most excited about, this is so lame, but it's so awesome. In Demon Souls, when you open doors and push levers, there'll be like that added sensory experience to the controller. Opening, like the moments in Dark Souls games or any sort of From Software game where you push the door open with two hands and walk through, is such a satisfying moment that I can't wait to see like what the haptic is like in that moment. It's one of my favorite From moments because you've beaten that boss, you have that like that relief and that just you're proud of yourself for overcoming that boss, and you get to move on to this new area to explore what's in the side of the door. Like the moment is always so well set up. I can't wait to see how they handle it with the haptic feedback. All this makes the haptic feedback much more prominent than I thought it would be. I kind of figured, they have to do the HD Rumble thing. Like at certain times, you'll kind of have these very unique kind of rumbles that are haptics that are very specific and tailored to specific motions. Is this running all the time, or is your controller always going to be giving you haptic feedback? Because like if it's happening when you're walking around, like Astro, it says like when you're walking on plastic, metal, sand, or even splashing in water, it's going to have a different feeling. Like this, it sounds like this is always running, which is very intriguing.
Yeah, or maybe at least has the option to be if the developer wants it to.
Yeah. And again, for case in point there, like Gran Turismo, I can't imagine not always feeling the breaking in the tires grip along the road. Like it would always have to be there. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really, really cool. But like you said earlier, like VR, once we kind of use it, we'll actually get an idea for what this is going to be like. But I'm sold. I mean, I've already seen really good examples of haptic kind of adding to the experience. Like take an iPhone, when you scroll through like a timer or something like that, and you kind of feel the clicking. Like I like those kind of things on the Apple Watch.
Got the
you move your
digital crown on a Series 4 or 5
Yeah.
watch. Just fucking.
It's really
scrolling
satisfying.
through
So I think
them.
applying that to games is very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to that.
I think this is going to be huge. One, I do think it. You're right. It is much more of a selling point and more of a huge feature than I thought it was, and it's evident in Sony's first PS5 ad that they just ran last week, which was it's a live action ad of just someone experiencing games. It's not like actually showing footage of anything, but they focused on 3 things. One of them was 3D audio and how that was going to transform things, but then it was very heavily also featuring haptic feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time that I think I had surround sound before I had surround sound headphones, but I can't remember which one it was. One of the two. The first time I experienced surround sound while playing games, I think I texted you. I was like, how the fuck did we ever play video games without this? I know where every bullet is coming from. I can tell if there's a monster behind me where I couldn't before. Like, I think it's going to be that kind of level of, like, when I'm playing this now with haptic feedback, I'm like, how am I going to go back to play Warzone without haptic feedback and then suddenly, like, fucking suck at everything? I hope it shoots me. I hope if I get shot in the game, I get shot in real life.
Mark Sturdy comes in, shoots you, and then takes a picture of your ear and runs out.
Oh, hold on. Let's move on to our Nintendo Quest log. We have one thing, and it is a roundup of all the games from the Nintendo Indie World Showcase, August 2020, from Ryan Craddock at Nintendo Life. This is what I referenced earlier, foreshadowing, where Nintendo announced an Indie Direct 20 minutes before the Indie Direct happened. And there were some interesting announcements in here, some cool things that are coming to Switch multiple times over the next couple of years. I don't think it's worth reading through all of these if we don't care about all of these, but I want to call out a couple. One, Hades is coming to Switch. That is the I forget the name of the studio who makes that.
Supergiant Games.
Supergiant, yes. Hades is a really dope looking game. It's only been on PC so far, and it's coming to Switch this fall, which is great. Raji, an ancient epic, is now available, and it kind of looks like an old school action game like God of War or Prince of Persia almost, with a really interesting kind of Greek aesthetic. I'm really cool. I'm really cool. No, I think it's really cool, and I'm interested in it. And
you are very cool as well, though. There's also
thanks.
that. It was a factual statement.
All right, you're getting lucky tonight. Let's go.
You're on my coast now, so let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's do it. Like they do on the Discovery Channel. What are the things you want to point out in here, Holden? There were quite a few things actually kind of shown off.
So Entitled Goose Game getting multiplayer sounds like a total blast. Is it online or is it local only though?
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't know. And I was thinking like playing online, that would actually be a really fun game to like do a Twitch stream, because we've been kind of talking about Twitch streaming stuff maybe, and
we've been twitching a little bit.
Well, like playing a game.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a really fun like co-op going through Untitled Goose Game and just wrecking
this fucking shit up,
everything around us, just raining havoc everywhere. Yeah, that sounds awesome. The other one is Manifold Garden, which just looks trippy as fuck and very cool, like a very cool kind of puzzle game. Oh, that looks...
it's like perspective, architecture, gravity. It reminds me of if you took like Monument Valley and smushed it together with Echochrome on the PS3.
Oh, yeah.
PS Vita, where you had to like the MC Escher line up those staircases and shit.
That's a good call out. Yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff. Also, just for you, Grindstone, now on Switch. How happy you are about that?
Yeah. I had my time with Grindstone with Apple Arcade. I was obsessed for like 2 weeks, and then I'm done.
All right.
I'll call out one more thing, is that Torchlight 3 is coming to Switch in the fall. Torchlight is a really cool Diablo clone, so worth checking out as well. Lots of other stuff was announced. Go check out the thing if you're interested. Finally, before we get to our ad read and our main quest today, this morning, whenever the fuck you're listening to us, let's talk about our third-party quest log. Holden, 505 Games, the people who publish Control. says there are blockers preventing free next-gen upgrades for Control, says James Batchelor at gamesindustry.biz. Some background on this, Control is getting an Ultimate Edition coming out that will include the game and the 2 big DLC packs, the AWE and the Foundation pack. So both of those are coming. It's all in one package for $40. You can buy it on current gen, and it will also come with a free upgrade to the next gen one. However, if you bought all of those things separately for a total of $80, double the price, you do not get the next gen version as a free upgrade. You have to buy the game again on next gen in order to get it, or buy this $40 version to own the game twice. So a lot of people were not happy with that, and they came out with this really vague statement that really means nothing. But we're going to read it here word for word. From 505 Games, quote, "We spent several months exploring all of our launch options for Control Ultimate Edition, and no decision was taken lightly. While it is challenging bringing any game to next-gen platforms, we quickly realized it was even more difficult to upgrade our current user base to next-gen with full parity across platforms with our year-old game. Every avenue we pursued, there was some form of blocker, and those blockers meant that at least one group of players ended up being left out of the upgrade for various reasons. As of today, we can't offer an upgrade to everyone, and leaving any one group out feels unfair. We understand that is not what you want to hear." It's also worth mentioning that the sales of Control were happy with them. It didn't cost a ton to develop, and their revenue increased by 63% in 2019. Holden, what thoughts do you have on this?
Well, I can say with those blockers in place, it's going to be really hard for them to get any gambits. So that's really concerning.
There you go. Yeah, Destiny 2, baby. Solstice.
This is such a weird statement because that's kind of why I added the whole thing about like Remedy was profitable, because this isn't a technical limitation. There's no technical reason that only the Ultimate Edition can be upgraded to next gen. It is the same exact content, the same exact code. It's just compiled in one package. This is 100% a business decision, and I think it's kind of BS. They just want more money. I get it. They're a company. They want the moolah. Maybe this isn't a bad deal for someone who hasn't bought the expansion passes yet. Like, I haven't seen what the prices are for the expansion pass. I should have looked into that. But maybe, like, if it's comparable in that context,
the season
maybe
pass
it makes sense.
is $20, which includes both of them.
Okay, in that case,
But
it's
you can
not
get it on sale,
comparable
too.
then. So
Here's
this is.
Here's
I don't
what
think
I
this
think.
is good.
I think that they could be more specific about some of these blockers rather than just like leaving it up to their customers to be like really pissed off about it.
Yeah.
One thing that I kind of call bullshit on is that they're talking about how it's challenging to bring any game to next-gen platforms, and we realize it's more difficult to upgrade our current user base with full parity across platforms with our year-old game. Ubisoft is bringing Rainbow Six Siege at launch to next-gen, and that game is 6 years old? 5 years old? And they're doing it, and it seems like it's going no problem. And they're not going to have any problems with crossplay, it seems like it's pretty easy to do from Ubisoft, or at least not challenging enough that they're going to make you pay an additional $40 to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I think might be happening. I think what might end up happening is that when they release on PS5, that specific SKU or version of the game is only going to be the Ultimate. Like, it is going to include the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not going to have the Control base game available separately. This is all my assumption based on we have several groups and we didn't want anyone to feel left out. So my thought is that they're trying to figure out, well, if we only have the Ultimate Edition on PS5, how do we take someone who on PS4 doesn't have the expansions and grant them full access then to the expansions that they didn't pay for? Or what if they only bought one of the expansions? Do we then now have both of them, give them both expansions without having to pay for one on PS5 when we move over? So I'm thinking they've simplified their SKU and now it's coming to bite them in the butt, and they don't know how to handle people who have to buy piecemeal.
On PlayStation side, yeah, but on Xbox they have Smart Delivery, which kind of solves that problem. They just have the same SKU available for all the consoles, and it downloads the right assets when it needs them. I guess we don't know if PlayStation's doing an equivalent or not. I guess this would suggest maybe PlayStation doesn't have a Smart Delivery equivalent, and they do have to have, like you just said, like for each expansion and each standalone version and the Ultimate Edition, the PS4, the PS5 edition of the game.
Even for smart delivery, though, they would have to have Control. The base would have to also be a SKU on Xbox Series X. The AWE expansion would also have to be a standalone purchase available on Series X for smart delivery to apply. But if even on Series X, the next-gen version that they have is only one package with everything included, they're still going to have the same problem. They can't give someone with a base game a full access to their extra content without having to pay for it, even with smart delivery.
And that's more of a platform problem, where thinking of Apple and Universal Apps, it's the same app. You submit one application, and it's the Watch app, it's the iPad app, it's the iPhone app, and also recently the Mac app as well. So Sony and Microsoft can do work to help out with that kind of thing. Yeah, I hadn't considered it from that perspective before. I guess I'm just so used to the Apple model being so much simpler, where the Universal app is just the one thing. It used to be on Apple, you'd have Tiny Wings, and then you'd have Tiny Wings for iPad, and that got kind of confusing. Sony and Microsoft got to get their shit together. If that's the case, they got to get their shit together.
Yeah. But my thing is, that's the last thing I'll say about it, is that all the other fucking game companies seem to be, or all the other developers and publishers seem to be tackling this with no issue. Why the fuck did you choose to do something difficult, 505 Games?
I also don't think it'd be a big deal if you were searched for Control and one said Control in parentheses PS4 and another Control said Control PS5.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be that hard for people to figure out. And if they did, call Sony's customer service. You just tell them, hey, I have a PS5. I accidentally bought the PS4 version. They're not going to say, too bad. They'll probably let you, get the PS5 version or convert the copy for you because it'll cost the same.
Yeah.
So, it's most likely will cost the same for other companies at least, because some companies aren't doing that. Different topic.
Hold in! Our last thing on our third-party quest log is a very important thing. DC Fandome happened yesterday for everyone listening right now, and for everyone listening in the future, it happened on Saturday, August 22nd, from all day to all day. And several things were revealed. There are lots of movie announcements, comic announcements, all sorts of things, a lot of useless banter from cast members on Skype. But there were two games that were shown off. First of all, there was the reveal of WB Montreal's game that we've all been speculating about for 100,000 years. Everyone's been like, it's the Batman Court of Owls game. Well, guess what? Fucking butts. It is. It is Gotham Knights. Here's the rundown. Gotham Knights. You play as one of four characters. Batwoman? I think those are two separate people. But Batwoman, you play as Robin, you play as Nightwing, and you play as Red Hood. Those four people. You interchange them throughout the story, it sounds like. There's two-player co-op available as well. So if a mission calls for, as they showed off some gameplay, if a mission calls for Batwoman and Robin, two people can play it. It's going to be so dope! So Gotham Knights does include, part of its story content does include the Court of Owls. But what's interesting to me, I don't know how they're going to work this in, but I'm very excited to see. Batman is dead in this game, or so we're led to believe based on the trailer. Batman is dead. They're listening to the stereotypical everyone before they dies remembers to record a video to show all their loved ones, and somehow the loved ones find it. I don't know if you have written your will yet, but you have to do that. You have to make a video saying, if you're seeing this, I'm dead. Batman
if I don't type in the code
videos.
every 24 hours, it'll just go up automatically.
Right.
One time I accidentally forgot to type in the code. Everybody thought I was dead, and I had to take down the video, and it was just...
Oh, my God.
It's terrible.
Whew. So here's the thing. You're playing this game. Batman's dead. Court of Owls is part of it. It's going to be a fun fucking romp of a time. From the little rustling going around on Twitter, this game, developed by WB Montreal, does not take place in the Arkham universe. I don't know why I said Arkham like that. Arkham universe that was previously established by the other Batman games. So Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. This is its own kind of separate offshoot, and it does not affect that timeline. That's important, because we'll talk about that later. WB Montreal is known for creating Batman Arkham Origins, which some people did not enjoy. I personally, that was literally the first game where I told myself, it's okay to not finish a game, like if you don't like it. But honestly, that was the first time that I was playing a game, and I was like, oh, God, I just got to finish this game. It's a Batman game. And then I told myself, your time is valuable. You don't have to finish a game if you don't like it. And then that completely 180-degree switch from then on out. But they obviously have worked with the Batman license before. They know the mechanics. They've borrowed some stuff from Rocksteady. The characters themselves, I realized, it's been forever since I played the games, but you were able to play as Nightwing and Robin for a little bit in Arkham City, and you were also able to play as Catwoman and stuff like that too. So there's some groundwork already for how they handle while they're fighting. The combat looks so good. I'm just super fucking excited for this. I'm super fucking excited that it is co-op, and I'm super fucking excited that Court of Owls is involved, and that there's all these dope characters, and that it's kind of cool that Batman's not involved. You watch this, you think it's even better than the Batman from Matt Reeves. What do you think of it?
Yeah. First of all, I really wish that you could have more than two people playing at the same time. This would be an awesome game night game to do like the Avengers thing, but in DC world, it's like darker and in open world as well. This looks, at least it looked like it was open world. I think this just looks really cool. I'm very excited. I think I'm more excited for this than Suicide Squad by far.
Me too.
Yeah.
Does this inspire you? Have not played any of the Batman games?
No.
I have it on good authority, police authority. The cops told me that also Matt Fiera has never played any of the Batman games. As you're thinking of your barf list next month, maybe you should include them.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Are they on Xbox Game Pass?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
If they are, absolutely going to be on there.
If not, the Arkham Return to Arkham collection has been on sale for like 1,000 times. That was one game that got announced. Now, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League was teased a couple weeks ago. We saw the Rocksteady logo. We saw Superman with some evil purple eyes going smoky eye. He got that good smoky eye. He watched the makeup tutorials on YouTube. And we saw the target on his head. It said Suicide Squad. We didn't know it was called Kill the Justice League, although most of the leaks said it's Kill the Justice League. So here's the thing. This was leaked. They then revealed it with a CGI trailer. We know it's Rocksteady, coming in 2022. It is 4-player co-ops. This is what we wanted from Gotham Knights. 4-player co-op. You have Deadshot, you have Harley Quinn, you have King Shark, and you have Captain Boomerang. This is a direct continuation of the Arkham series, of the Rocksteady Arkham series. So this is different. The Batman game has nothing to do with the Batman games. The Suicide Squad game has everything to do with the Batman games.
Not confusing at all.
No, not confusing at all.
The art styles are so much different.
They are.
The art style for Suicide Squad is completely different than the Arkham games, and Gotham Knight looks much more like the Arkham games from just from my perspective of having not played them. I'll take your word for it because you have played them. So you say it does. Great. Awesome.
Yes.
The Suicide Squad thing is one of those things where CGI trailers just don't do it for me. It wasn't a bad CGI trailer. It was fun. The characters were enjoyable. I liked the art style and kind of how colorful it was. There's like an angstiness to it. Like I liked all that, but I don't know what the game is. So like it's hard for me to... I still know exactly what I know about the game, for the most part, in terms of it being a game, that I did when I saw the poster.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you now know who you're playing as.
Yes.
Some things I liked about the trailer. I liked that like you said, I like how like bright and colorful it is. It's a very different type of style and aesthetic. I enjoyed the characters that they chose. Not because I care about those particular characters, but the way that they're portrayed and the actors to them. Like a lot of times Harley Quinn can be portrayed as like kind of like my sexy baby impression. Like, I'm a sexy baby. Oh, look at me in my dress, Mr. J. And it's a turnoff for me. So it's a little bit more toned down from that. But the jokes landed. I think if you remember the original Suicide Squad movie trailer, like none of the jokes landed. It was terrible. I was like, I'm not looking forward to this fucking at all. It turned out it was terrible. All the jokes landed in this one, and I enjoyed it. And they're like, Captain Boomerang, what do you throw a boomerang? Actually, I can't remember. Was that the movie or the game that got revealed and they said that? That was the game reveal because Will Arnett was talking to the video game characters. That was bad. Will Arnett should not have been involved. So yeah, the trailer was good. I like that Superman was like a super bad guy. I'm excited that we're exploring whatever that might be. Here's the kicker though. I don't give a fuck about Suicide Squad or anyone in it. My first exposure to Suicide Squad was in the show Arrow on the CW, so you know it was a quality introduction. And then the outside of that was the movie Suicide Squad. I've never read any of the comics, never gave a shit about them outside of it. I've never really been a DC Comics fan. I've read some Batman stuff. But anyway, yeah, Suicide Squad as a property, as characters, I don't give a fuck about him. Deadshot, he's some guy who, I don't know, shoots good. One guy literally throws a boomerang, and the guy's a half a shark. It's like, I don't care for these characters at all, but I'm looking forward to the game because I care about Rocksteady, and I know that they do quality work. So that's what's kind of keeping my peen tickled right now. Matt from RI in the chat says, who's the poor sap that's going to have to play Captain Boomerang? Sir,
probably
let's rewind to 2 weeks ago when I said I call everyone in Avengers except for Black Widow because she looks like she's going to be boring. Turns out Black Widow's the fucking funnest character to play as. So hold your tongue, sir. Captain Boomerang might be totally tits. Pork Chop in the chat liked the Will Arnett stuff. TBH. That means throw balls, homie. I will throw balls, just not on camera. So that's all the video game stuff from DC Fandome. I'm kind of with you where Gotham Knights, obviously, it looks like it's closer. It's coming in 2021. It looks more done. We saw gameplay. I'm more excited for that than I am for Suicide Squad, but we'll see. Holden, before we get to the epic war segment that we have coming up, let's talk about Affable Idiots. That's the brand under which we fall, the Respawn Aim Fire product.
I'll be right back.
That's also the brand under which your water bottle falls while you go away. We also have AAWY and also with you, and so much more to come. We want to do so many great things, but we need to know that people out there like us and are willing to support those great things that we're doing. And you can show us that by going to YouTube, hitting that subscribe button on there. What does that do for you, do you ask? Oh, well, it gets us a vanity name on YouTube. That way, instead of telling you, go to youtube.com/ I can tell you, yeah, youtube.com/affableidiots, youtube.com/respawnaimfire, youtube.com/AAWY. You want that for us, right? You want us to be happy. You want me to be successful. You can also go to podcast services. Wherever you listen to us, just be like, ba ba beep boop boop, 5 stars. We talked about this at the beginning. 5 cakes if they rate you in cakes. And then finally, we have a Patreon for Respawn Aim Fire. Patreon.com/ you guessed it, Respawn Aim Fire. You know that. You can go there. $1 or above gets you everything on the list, which is the ability to play with us on game nights. Matt can get 3 crowns, steal them all from you. On Fall Guys, you can get super cool, sexy wallpapers. You can influence what we play for Barf. So if Holden's like, do we play Hitman 3 or 2? Or do we play, I don't know why you're talking like a grandma, but Hitman 2 or Batman Arkham Asylum, you can make the right choice and influence what we play every month. And then finally, in this segment, I want to announce something new. And by announce, I mean say again something new that's coming on August 31st. But Holden, your ad read for it last week was so much better than anything I could say about it. Tell me what's coming on August 31st.
What's coming on, well, first of all, I want to push it back to September 4th, that Friday.
Oh,
just because
my God. You know that's when we're playing Avengers. No one's going to watch it.
Friday, I just like the day Friday better. I'd rather release it before the weekend. But also, I did so much research on this epic stuff, I did almost nothing on the grind this week. So, got to push it back for that reason. Basically what's happening is I'm releasing a video essay series in 3 parts about Google Stadia and basically why it hasn't been as successful as maybe Google would have hoped it to be, how it compares to how other players have been introduced to the market, namely Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, how they introduced themselves to the game market, and then whether or not Stadia has a future. Those are the 3 parts that we're releasing 1 episode each week, and I look forward to showing you what we found.
Dope.
Boom.
I'm very excited for that. For anyone else, I haven't even seen it either. I don't know what the hell he's working on, but I think it's going to be great. He's told me little bits and pieces, and I'm like, salivate. Holden, our main quest for tonight. Main quest.
Yes.
Epic Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. This is an update. There's been so much more development happening since the last time we talked about this on the show. And by we, I mean you and our friends. I'm going to let you take the reins for this, and I will... There's a natural break between the two parts of this that I will offer my opinions on the first part, and then we'll talk about it together on the second part. Does that sound okay?
Yes. Sounds great.
Great.
So before we get to the new stuff that happened this week, I did a lot of research just to get some additional context on the situation that's happening. The first thing I'm going to bring up, though, is actually a story that I missed last week, and I thought it was relevant to talk about. So the first thing is... on Fortnite's website, their own Fortnite blog, the Fortnite Mega Drop, permanent discounts up to 20%. The V-Bucks 20% discount was available on all platforms, PC, mobile, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. Excuse me. Only on Google Play and App Store were both pricing options displayed. So today I went to the Switch, I downloaded Fortnite, which felt awful to do. I opened it up, struggled to find out how to even get V-Bucks. And yeah, so you only have the option to spend the $8 to buy V-Bucks. There's no $10 kind of counter offer from the platform holder, if you will. And then just as we all know, on Google Play and App Store, they show both options. The App Store price and Google Play price, and then the direct payment to Apple price.
So anyone that was thinking last week, looking at the Apple or the Google screenshot, they're like, oh my gosh, I can get it cheaper if I pay Epic than I could do paying Apple. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm getting some kind of discount. But no, it turns out everywhere it's the cheaper price. But now they're blatantly saying if you buy it on iOS or Google, you have to pay more money.
Yeah, so whether or not PC and consoles allowed Fortnite to take a lower cut, that we can't really know that. But there was some language in the article that made me think that maybe there was some special treatment on the console and PC. Maybe. Again, we do not know for sure. Here are two quotes in the article that make me think this. Quote, "This isn't a sale. These are a new discount prices available anytime. We're excited to pass along these savings to you, and we'll continue to look for additional ways to bring value to all Fortnite players." Later in the post, it also says, currently when using Apple and Google payment options, Apple and Google collect a 30% fee, and the up to 20% price drop does not apply. If Apple and Google lower their fees on payments in the future, Epic will pass along the savings to you. So they kind of use that like, we're passing the savings along to you. Well, how would they have gotten a savings other than if they had gotten a special deal from the platform holders? That's one theory. Another thing is just that and this is harder to look up because Microsoft, Nintendo, and PlayStation don't talk as openly about their 30% cut. So it's harder to know, does that apply to in-app purchases as well as the main game purchases, or is there a different cut for in-app purchases? We don't know. So it's possible that that cut doesn't really exist for in-app purchases on console, and Epic just wanted to just charge the same amount everywhere at a lower price. And just, be fairer to consumers. That's also possible. Considering the industry standard is still 30% for in-app purchases everywhere, I'm willing to bet that it is for in-app purchases on consoles as well. I think it's more likely, but I want to be fair because I don't know for certain. So that's one kind of important, I think, piece of context here to look at. The next is how much money Apple makes from the App Store specifically. I couldn't find any article that really broke down App Store's earnings and how that is separate from their services business. So using Apple's financial statements since 2007 and the Worldwide Developer Conference events, where Apple usually announces the total money paid to developers, I was able to kind of create some estimates on what those earnings look like. I created a chart that we're looking at the notes. I don't know if we can put it up on OBS as possible. Yeah, I think that'd be helpful.
On the screen. Woo! That is giant on the screen right now.
So basically, just to be just state our definitions here, Apple includes App Store revenue in their software services and other sales financial filing. That software services and other sales includes the following. It includes iCloud, AppleCare, which is AppleCare Plus, AppleCare Plus Loss and Theft, Bookstore, Apple Pay, Apple Music, Apple News Plus, Apple Card, Apple Arcade, Apple TV Plus, software sales, which is Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro. In the past, it was iWork as well, which they no longer charge for. Portions of the hardware sales related to free services. So like iCloud, Maps, Siri, Apple basically estimates how much value that brings in and then just takes it from the iPhone sale and puts it in services instead. I don't know why they do that, but they do. And then they're also licensing agreements. So like Google pays Apple $1 billion every year to make Google the default search platform. The Weather Channel probably pays Apple a certain amount of money to be the weather app data source. So that's from The Verge. The Verge is where I got that part from. Looking now at the data that I kind of collected from Apple's financial reporting, services revenue has been growing at a steady rate for the past decade, with the App Store only contributing 5% to the all services revenue early on. But by 2018, that had jumped to 35%. Now, Apple hasn't released developer payout since 2018, so it's uncertain how much that percentage has changed. I'm assuming it probably went up. If anything, considering the number of phones, the number of new devices, that kind of stuff. In 2018, Apple made $12 billion off of their 30% cut, compared to their yearly revenue of $265 billion. $265 billion comes from MarketWatch. The App Store accounted for 4.5% of Apple's annual revenue. So it's not a huge part of their business, but it is there. And I came across some stories from John Gruber, who's a tech blogger I've been following for a while now, not as much recently. He's a site called Daring Fireball. Really good. He's really good insights, I think. He also pulled up some quotes from Tim Sweeney that are relevant to the discussion. Before he brought up those quotes, he linked to a study from the Analysis Group, which compares Apple's app stores to similar platforms. And the gist of it is basically 30% is the standard with some slight caveats, but 30% is the standard, and 12% is totally Epic is totally undercutting the market with 12%. Now, here's why that's relevant. Here's a quote from Tim Sweeney. Consoles are unique in that the hardware is sold at or below the cost of manufacturing and is subsidized by software sales, whereas iOS and Android are insanely profitable for Apple and Google from just hardware sales and ads. So I don't have a problem with the concept of console platform fees. Consoles could ultimately benefit from richer store ecosystems, though. What if someday you could purchase a game once and have it all available on all the platforms, game, PC, console, mobile, yada, yada, yada. It's basically saying consoles are different, so they charge 30% cut, but he views them as different.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all either. We'll circle back to all this.
Yeah.
The last bit of context I think is really important here. This is a book I read a while ago called the Master Switch. It's written by Tim Wu. Tim Wu, he's a very prominent person. He coined the term net neutrality. So you have most people, I think, are aware of his work, even if they don't know who he is. I also highly recommend the book Master Switch. It's fascinating. It goes through all the information-based monopolies of the last century and how they arose. He does mention, like, for example, Bell Labs, which arose to a monopoly standpoint by undercutting the market completely so that no one could charge the same rates that they do. And then when there's no one to compete with, they just jack the prices back up again. So here's the kind of realization that I had, and this is where I'm kind of curious what you think of this. If the 30% cut was lowered, companies without the overwhelming cash flow of Microsoft, Google, and Apple wouldn't be able to run their platforms and compete against Apple, Microsoft, and Google for developers. Like, it'd be a greater incentive to go to those other platforms because you're going to get more of a cut, which is why Epic Game Store is getting exclusive games, because the cut is better. This would be a monopolistic practice to undercut the 30% because it would harm other platforms. So keeping that cut as it is actually allowing for fair competition between the platforms. And I think to lower it would actually be harmful. PlayStation can't rely on anything else really besides their platform. Nintendo's kind of the same thing. Like, PlayStation's the most profitable part of Sony.
Right.
If it would really damage them if they couldn't rely on that. So that's kind of the breaking point for that context. We'll talk a little bit about that, then we'll jump into the new stuff this week. But Chad, what are your thoughts? And also just what are your thoughts in general about this, because you weren't here last week.
Yeah. On the most immediate thing that you're talking about, like the 30% cut and Tim Sweeney's comparison of like, oh, you know what? I view them differently. 30% to Microsoft is different because they're selling their console at a loss versus 30% to Apple. They make a ton of profit on their iPhone. From a business perspective, you have to treat those equally. You can't say, let's say, like, if there's a person, this might be a shitty analogy as I'm coming up with it off the top of my head right now, but like, if there's a person who's living paycheck to feed their family, like, oh, you know what? I'm going to give you a really big bonus this year. because you're living paycheck to paycheck. And then person over here, you're living by yourself and you're not supporting a family and you're kind of living comfortably. You know what? I'm going to give more of your money to this person over there instead and give you less of a cut because you're clearly doing well for yourself. Like, those two things, from a business perspective, have to be treated equally. You can't treat them differently because, one person made a decision to profit off their device, the other person made a decision not to profit off their device.
Because then that would be antitrust.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that Tim Sweeney's comment rubs me the wrong way, where you have to treat them equally. On this whole situation, I was listening to what you guys were saying a lot last week, and I kind of agree with most of you. I believe that it is a obviously planned feature, or obviously planned thing from Epic. They knew what they were doing. They had the ad ready to go. They had the court case the same day. But I agree with you guys. You were talking about it being completely anti-consumer. And I feel like even advertising that, yeah, you could get this cheaper price if you just went to Apple and Google and asked them to make it cheaper and lobbied for us and did our work for us. They are trying to weaponize their fan base. They're trying to make all the little kids freak out and beg mom and dad, be like, I don't know why. Why is that? Why can't I play it on my phone anymore? And then hopefully mom and dad complain. And then they go find some big person, like the right level, the right amount of people with enough influence, then say, Apple, Google, my kid wants to play Fortnite and he's crying. And hopefully that makes some change. That's an interesting tactic. I think it is an anti-consumer tactic. It punishes people who play on iOS and Google. Because you want to pay, you want to get more money for your game, you are willing to take the millions of people who play your game, the largest game in the world, on
hundreds
iPads.
of millions of people.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of people.
iPad, iOS, yeah, less, but that.
On iOS and Google Play, like, you are punishing them because they chose a certain platform. You could handle this, you could file a lawsuit, you could do all of this without punishing those people. So I do not agree with their stance. I am the type of person who's like, 30% is the standard, and it's what's been happening for a long time. You guys talked about it being kind of like even sometimes more generous than what you might get at a physical retailer as well, historically. But I'm not against reevaluating whether 30% is the necessary number anymore and whether we can improve that across the board. I generally applaud Epic Games for giving more money to developers, but this is not the way to go about it. This is hurting people who are playing your game and using them to do your work, and I think it's gross.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of my general opinion on it so far on all of this. And this is all just me as a regular dude looking at it from the outside who has a video game podcast. I have no business acumen. I don't know how finance works. I just have a savings account.
Yeah, it's the tactic I think is going to ruin the discussion. Is I think my big complaint here. I'm kind of iffy now on if the 30% should go down or not. I understand the argument because when you look at like Apple made $12 billion off of in-app purchases, app sales, and in-app subscriptions. Like, that's a ton of money, and they don't need that much money to run the platform. It obviously is a huge profit for them. So I think that there definitely is a conversation there, but it can't be targeted at just Apple. It has to be this agreement amongst all of the platforms. Going to the whole, like, what's the model that's going to work for Nintendo? Nintendo, if they can't be profitable at 15% cut, that would really suck to lose Nintendo because Epic is throwing a stinky fit right now.
Right. And you can't just punish Apple because they make money. You have to you have to treat everyone fairly.
The other part is the whole like monopoly claim. Like, if all these platforms are doing it, all these platforms are adhering to one standard, then that is literally the antithesis of a monopoly. That is not how monopolies work. A monopoly would play things to their own advantage, not conform to what everyone else is doing. Like, it's so backwards that I think Greg Miller nailed it with, this is about Epic wanting to get an app store on the App Store. That's what this is about. And I don't even know if I agree with that. It's, first of all, it's just a weird precedent. I can imagine going into like Target and being like, hi, I'd like to open up a general purpose store within your Target. Is that okay? Why are you upset at this? It's just fair competition.
Or even seeing an Epic Game Store on Switch or on PlayStation or on Xbox. Like, that's not a
Yeah.
thing. There's no way that's going to be able to happen. And for good reason.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, these companies put in their own money to build their platforms, especially in the case of like a company like the video game companies, Microsoft, Nintendo, PlayStation. These let's take Nintendo for example. They started this platform in the 80s. That's why they're positioned the way that they are right now, because they started this platform decades ago. They've been working goodwill with consumers. Obviously, they've done some not great stuff, as every company has, but like they've been working their goodwill with consumers for decades now, and they've earned their place to have that platform. And this is the natural consequence of having that kind of platform, not a, dirty business move. I'm going to finagle things for my own will. It just doesn't I just don't understand Epic's argument outside of their own self-interest. And we'll touch more about when we get some of the new stuff. And then, I don't know, the Tim Wu Master Switch thing it really got me thinking too. Kind of what Epic is doing is more of the monopolistic practice, undercutting the market so you get exclusive content coming to your game so that you can become bigger and force the other competition to adhere. And if they can't adhere, they'll go out of business. That's the more monopolistic approach. And yeah. We ready to move on to this new stuff?
New developments in here that we can take a look at.
So, The Empire Strikes Back. Apple threatens to terminate Epic Games developer accounts on August 20... Actually, before we go, do we want to do these story by story or just read everything out and do like we did with the last one? Because I think some of these stand on their own more. Let's do a story by story.
Yeah, let's story by story.
Apple threatens to terminate Epic Games developer accounts on August 28th. So because of Epic's App Store violations, Apple sent Fortnite a notice that their developer account will be revoked if they didn't comply with the App Store guidelines by August 28th, namely charging the normal, standard in-app purchase as opposed to the direct-to Epic payment. This could have impact on Unreal's support on Mac and iOS. We will talk about that in the next story for sure, because Microsoft chimed in on that one. Let's kind of start there. Do you think Apple is justified in doing this?
Yeah. If I tell you, hey, you're not allowed in my house if you shit on the living room floor, and you come in and you shit on my living room floor, like, you knew the rules, I'm going to kick you out of my house. I'm like, no, now I don't have a place to stay because you're kicking me out of my house, out of your house. It's like, well, you can't stay here because you're going to shit on the living room floor. Like, yes, take away their developer account unless they say, listen, you signed an agreement. You agreed to say, I'm going to be in the App Store and I'm going to obey these rules and I'm going to perform like this. And if you have a problem with it, there are legal ways to take care of that. And throwing a hissy fit and saying, I want to still be on your store, but also sue you at the same time and also not pay any respect to the rules that are on that platform, then yeah.
And continue to shit on your rug.
I'm on Apple's side for this side. And you shit on the living room floor.
No, exactly. And it's like, this is not an unusual thing that Apple did. I mean, when Facebook was caught breaking the rules, they threatened to revoke their developer. Actually, I think they did revoke their developer account.
All of their
until
internal
Facebook
apps stopped working.
Yeah. And that's obviously hugely catastrophic to Facebook's business.
Yep. But
they broke the rules. And they worked with Apple. They figured things out. And now Facebook is back on the platform. And that's the thing here is that Epic is playing this off as if, like, they've been victimized by this.
Right.
And what drives me nuts about that is the whole, like, you're shitting on the rug analogy is perfect. And all they have to do is just return in-app purchases to how it was before. Yep. And then they can continue to have people play their game. iOS users won't miss out on Season 4 of Fortnite. And they won't be harming their own customers. But people have this, like, approach of, like, how could Apple shut down Epic like this? They're ruining Fortnite. It's like, no. Epic ruined Fortnite for everyone. Yep. Like, this is Apple being fair and just because this is the rules that Epic agreed to ahead of time. It's baffling to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
clean up your shit off the floor, and then we can talk like adults about how you can live here.
Exactly. Tim Sweeney, stop shitting on the rug. It's very inappropriate. Microsoft has filed a statement in support of Epic's request to keep access to the Apple SDK for its Unreal Engine. This is from Adam Bankhurst at IGN. So Microsoft's main concern is many developers' reliance on Unreal Engine for game creation since it's one of the only engines out there. Smaller teams cannot produce their own game engines because it's extremely costly. Unreal offers a great value to those teams. If a team were suddenly unable to produce their game because Apple no longer supports Unreal Engine, it could be catastrophic to their business. this. Phil Spencer tweeted, "Today we filed a statement in support of Epic's request to keep access to the Apple SDK for its Unreal Engine. Ensuring that Epic has access to the latest Apple technology is the right thing for game developers and gamers." Chad.
Yeah.
Go.
So this adds another wrinkle to this whole shit on the floor analogy. So yeah, Epic creates Unreal Engine, which, especially on iOS, is the majority of what games are made with. And so by suspending their developer account, they are also suspending their ability to develop and iterate upon and update Unreal Engine. So as new versions of iOS come out, or as they find bugs in the Unreal Engine that currently exists, they cannot update this for iOS users and for any developers who use the Unreal Engine, which sucks. That is a huge blow.
Absolutely.
But if you imagine Epic coming and shitting on the rug, they have a whole family of people, a huge family with them, that now, hey, you shit on the rug. And they're like, well, now I'm outside and I don't have a roof over my head, or for all of these hundreds of people in my family. I was like, you did that. You made Unreal Engine unattainable or unupdatable on iOS. So, yeah, this is, 100%, I am still on Apple's side for this. Like, we have to do this, and Epic has to bear the brunt of the blow. I understand that Microsoft is like, listen, if you do this, it has consequences, but Apple can't be to blame for that, and they can't be responsible for taking the responsibility for those actions. Like it's Epic's fault. Yeah. They have to right the wrong for their customers. They're fucking their customers over by doing this right now.
And I'm really surprised Microsoft didn't just come out and say, Epic, you're about to ruin things for a lot of really small developers. Right. Just put the in-app purchase back in place again and continue with your lawsuit and your concerns and all that stuff. Like, you can still fight that battle and not hurt. And I'm sure
internally
else.
They've had those conversations, and Microsoft is like, listen, dude, careful about shitting on that floor.
Oh, I'm sure they have. It's really concerning to me that they would make this a public statement, because I feel like most people are on Epic's side. That's kind of the impression that I've gotten, is that most people are on Epic's side in this. And I feel like this kind of adds fuel to that fire of, ooh, Apple's really bad. Even Microsoft is coming out and defending Epic now. And that doesn't sit right with me. But that's just me. Apple court filing says Epic asked for special deal before all this nonsense started. This is from Mike Fahey at Kotaku. In the Apple court filing response, they claim Epic asked for special privileges, but then Tim Sweeney posted the emails on his Twitter account claiming that he didn't ask for special privileges. I have all three of the emails up here in front of me. He says... Where was it? I lost the part where it says... Yeah, here it is. Epic is requesting that Apple agree in principle to permit Epic to roll out these options for the benefit of all iOS customers. We hope that Apple will make these options equally available to all iOS developers in order to make software sales and distribution on the iOS platform as open and competitive as it is on personal computers. So he does say in that email, hey, we want to do this, but we also want to make sure it's helping all iOS developers as well. I do want to point out, however, the last paragraph of that email, which says, please confirm within 2 weeks if Apple agrees in principle to allow Epic to provide a competing app store and competing payment processing, in which case we will meet with your team to work out the details, including Epic's firm commitment to utilize any such features diligently to protect device security, consumer privacy, and a high-quality user experience. If we do not receive your confirmation, we will understand Apple is not willing to make the changes necessary to allow us to provide Android customers with the option of choosing their app and app store and payment processing. Little typo there, but that's not a big deal. To me, that is them saying, sure, we're doing this for other developers, but we want to be the ones involved in the negotiations. We could have built a committee of developers to come and talk to you and work on this together, but no, our team will come and talk to you and we'll figure this out together. To me, that looks like asking for special treatment.
It does.
So I can see how Apple would have that interpretation.
Yep. And my assumption, based on the typo here at the end, too, is that this is a copy and paste, and they sent the same thing to Google.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely, yeah. Later on, he doesn't show Apple's responses, which I personally find a little disingenuous because I would like to know how Apple responded to this. If he's like kind of having this half transparency thing, I think it's a little disingenuous. But again, this whole thing from Epic has been more than a little disingenuous, so I guess I'm not too surprised. But later on, as they kind of are talking back and forth, Tim Sweeney's sorry that Apple won't change their minds. And then on August 13th, Tim Sweeney just directly says, I'm writing to tell you that Epic will no longer adhere to Apple's payment processing restrictions. Which, come on, Tim. Why would you post that? Why would you, that is, why would you do that?
Like blatantly admitting
it's the
fault
smoke.
and like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would he do that? So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. What happened to that headline? That looks weird. Apple compares Epic Games to shoplifters in bizarre lawsuit response. Scott Brown at Android Authority. The quote from the filing is, if customers can avoid the digital checkout, it is the same as if customers leave on Apple retail store without paying for a shoplifted product. Apple does not get paid. Would you agree with that statement, Chad?
That's a weird-ass statement that I don't think applies to this. I don't know why that was part of the response to it, but
I get it. Like, they're basically saying, "Hi, I'd like to utilize the App Store platform. I'm going to buy that from Apple, except I'm not going to pay Apple anything to do that kind of stuff." So it is a form of shoplifting. It's just not as direct as, like, I'm walking in, taking a Hershey's bar, and then walking out of the store.
Yeah. I mean, it's as if I came in and said, hey, how much is this Hershey bar? Oh, it's $1. I've got 80 cents. Sorry, sir, you can't have that Hershey bar unless it's $1. Cool. Here's the 80 cents. I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Then, that's what it's more akin to.
That's a good comparison, yeah. And then we get to the last two stories here. Fortnite's new #free Fortnite Cup tournament includes some anti-Apple rewards, says Austin Goslin at Polygon. Rewards include, for 10 points, the player will get the Tart Tycoon outfit, which is the evil Apple character from 1980 Fortnite. The top 20,000 players will get a free Fortnite hat. They will get that hat for free as well. It's not just called the free Fortnite hat. And then the top 1,200 players will get gaming hardware, either an Alienware gaming laptop, a Samsung Galaxy Tab S7, a OnePlus 8, a PlayStation 4 Pro, an Xbox One X, or Nintendo Switch.
AKA anything but an Apple device.
Exactly. This is the kind of stuff that really rubs me the wrong way even more, because this is basically business propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
It's 100% what it is. So I think we're both in agreement on that. We'll move on.
Yep.
Unless you have anything else you want to say about that.
No. I mean, their ad, in a different context, in a completely different world, and it's like, this is kind of clever marketing. But in the way that it's playing out and what they're actually doing with all of this and the free Fortnite hashtag and all that kind of stuff, it's like, no, dude, just read the room. Fucking be responsible. Again, don't fuck over your customers.
Yeah. And the last story here, and I think this is actually probably the most important story in terms of this playing out in the real world. Epic versus Apple judge decided in Apple's favor in similar cases. So the U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers ruled in Apple's favor in a 2013 legal complaint against the 30% cut. The case was dropped because Apple doesn't charge consumers the 30%. Developers pass that cost on to consumers. She elaborated further, saying that allegations that they have been deprived of lower-cost alternatives, paid higher prices for Apple-approved applications, or had their iPhones disabled or destroyed at a minimum, plaintiffs must allege facts showing that each named plaintiff has personally suffered an injury, in fact, based on Apple's alleged conduct. And because that was unprovable, the case was dropped.
Yep. So basically saying that, like, hey, Apple's not charging the consumer more. They're charging the developer more. And if we all know something about the U.S. legal system, precedent is everything. Like, if there is precedent for your court case that goes against you, it is almost impossible for you to win that case. In very rare circumstances has that like happened at a level as big as this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of have to wonder if Epic knows this is going to be thrown out. And that's why they're playing this kind of propaganda stuff so much, to really rile people up so that when it does get dropped, people are going to flip.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this like, oh man, big businesses is being protected by, the government, poor Epic, and it's going to... who knows what they do with that next, considering what they've done so far.
Honestly, this whole thing is just like, up until a week ago, I was so pro Epic. I was like, what they're doing, giving developers more of a cut in their own store, I think that's awesome. And if you gave me the option between buying something in Steam or buying it in Epic, I would do it just for that. And they have their creator stuff where, like, if you create something for Unreal Engine and somebody uses it, you get paid or something like that. That shit's cool. That's pro-consumer. And they are destroying all of their goodwill with me by doing this. And now even thinking about using anything that comes from Epic is gross to me. Just because of the way they're handling all of this.
Absolutely. I specifically remember saying that when the 12% cut was made, I'm like, this is how you enact change. Because it will incentivize other platforms to go down if they start to see that incentive because of how good your platform is. And it's just, when you take such a hard left into disingenuous territory, it's very hard for me to get on board. And this whole story kind of hits two really big pet peeves of mine. One is when, whether it's a person or an organization, company, government, otherwise, says, we're standing up for what's right, but clearly they're doing it for their own interest.
Yeah.
That pisses me off. It really irritates me, mostly because it works and people fall for it all the time. The second is, I'm really upset with a lot of journalists out there who I think are not covering this very well. I have heard, from companies like even like The Verge saying things that are just not true. The Verge in their video about this explicitly said, all the 30% charge covers is hosting and payments, and that's it. Like, absolutely not. It's covering the Swift programming language, all the hundreds and thousands of new APIs available in the SDK every year. I mean, even the hosting part, like, don't say that dismissively. That's a huge job.
Yeah,
hosting involves the reviewing of all the apps.
Curation.
Yeah. The curation, especially. When I was going through and watching the WWDC events to find out the developer payout, Steve Jobs said in 2010, they were getting 15,000 app updates, new apps that they had to review every single week. And they reviewed all of them, or 95% of them in that time frame. But that was in 2010. Can you imagine how many apps they have to deal with per week, app updates now? It's got to be insane. And the fact that now they turned it around in 24 hours, that's a massive operation.
Yeah.
So just to undercut that and say, oh, it's just hosting, it's really
as if
disingenuous.
it's just like plugging in a couple of servers to an outlet somewhere and saying, yeah, go ahead and just upload your app to our server.
Mm-hmm. The other part is that I think Apple is actually more justified than the other companies on charging 30% for a few reasons. Like, take Steam, for example. Why does Steam get a 30% cut? It's literally just a store.
Yeah.
They don't host an SDK. They don't handle that. And they have the review process, but their review process is for what, 4,000 games a year? It's not the same thing. Same goes for Epic. No, I think I get the argument that Tim Sweeney's making that company like PlayStation and Nintendo, probably not as true for Microsoft, but are losing money per console, so they have to make up with the 30%. I understand that. But Nintendo, though, doesn't usually sell their hardware at a loss. And the PlayStation 4 early on was sold for a profit. I think it was like a few months after launch, it was already being sold for a profit. So, like, even that's like not necessarily the most valid statement. And again, they handle a lot less traffic. So the companies that I think that are the most justified in charging that much because of the scale is Microsoft and Apple, because Microsoft's not doing just Xbox. They have the Microsoft Store for their own apps. Like, they're dealing with a lot of stuff there too, and Google as well for the Play Store. And it just really bugs me that this, I just don't think is being covered looking at those contexts. A lot of this just seems to boil down to 30% is a big number. It's like, yeah, it is a big number. But just because someone's making a lot of money doesn't mean it's unfair necessarily. It's just, I don't know. It's just, everything about this just really bugs me.
Yeah. As part of this is a completely different thing, and this could be like flagrantly wrong allegations. But I assume that all of these outlets are like, well, this is hot right now, and if we put out a controversial headline and a statement real quick without actually doing any kind of research, we're going to get a lot of hits and clicks. And ad revenue is down because people have ad blockers now, and everyone's doing private browsing, all this kind of stuff. So it could just be that the journalists aren't incentivized to do the work.
I also think journalists probably have a lot of work that they have to do.
Yeah.
They don't just write. It's not like, all right, cool, this is an important story. I'll spend the next week working on this
exactly
one story.
like you did.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I get all that. At the same time, it's like they cover these things so often, so frequently. I would hope that they would be able to see some of that context. But
Yeah, you would
when
hope
it's
that
so
the person-
consistent across the board.
Yeah, you would hope
Go
that
ahead,
the
sorry.
person who's writing the article about this has probably covered many things just like it or similar to it, and they have like they know about the like everything going. They know about the App Store. They know about Epic Games. Like you would hope that they're all writing the same thing, and not just some new person who's like, "This is my first day at The Verge, and I just came out of a farm town. And I'm told I'm going to write about something called Epic Games." So.
Especially The Verge, because they go to WWDC. They've seen Apple talk about how much they're paying developers and all that. This is what they've been covering literally for a decade now. Like I think they've been around about a decade. No, they came out within the past decade. I don't remember when they came out, but it wasn't. They came out after the App Store is the point. But still, they've been covering this kind of stuff, and even the journalists that work there probably have been journalists before working at The Verge. I don't think The Verge started and. Yeah, probably, and just hired a bunch of newbies.
The Verge started, and then they harvested babies and grew them into journalists.
So it sounds like we're pretty much in agreement on this.
Yeah, big old echo chamber of Epic is wrong.
All right,
But
well,
I'm
that is
really
our main
curious,
quest.
and I think you mentioned this week making the poll. Like, I'm curious where listeners, after hearing all of this, and I'm sure most people who vote in the poll won't necessarily listen to the whole main quest, but I'm curious where people fall, whether they're on Apple side or Epic side.
Yeah. So yeah, and kind of that note, there will not be a Summer Games Fest again this week, but we will be doing that poll instead when the episode airs. So I would there's no way I can stop this, but I would implore anyone to listen to this before voting. But obviously, people are always going to see it on Twitter; they just vote. But I think the full context is important to get.
But Holden, we're not out of the woods yet. We've got one last segment to do on this show before we close it out, and that's called Game On Game Show. The game on our gaming show where we play a game called Game On, the game show on a game show, game. Holden, it's back. It's been a while. But we've got another round of Quiz Me, Captain. It's me, Margaret. This is a show where we have 4 rounds, lightning rounds. You are timed the entire time. I am stalling to get the clock app up and ready. Okay, perfect. Great. So we have 4 rounds. I have to give you a prompt or some type of question to respond to for every single round. If you get through all 4 rounds successfully, you get a super secret prize.
Which I rarely do.
Which you rarely do. You'll get a super secret prize. However, we will not stop the round if you fail. Or we will not stop the game if you fail. Holden, are you ready for Quiz Me, Captain? It's me, Margaret.
As ready as I'll ever be.
That's right, Betty Spaghetti. First round, you know it, 30 seconds long, 1 prompt. You have to respond to 1 prompt. You have 30 seconds to do so. Holden, are you ready for round 1?
Yes.
30 seconds. Quiz Me, Captain. It's me, Margaret. Round 1 starts now. Name 3 games coming exclusively to next-gen systems.
Godfall,
Correct.
Ghostwire
1,
Tokyo,
2,
and Deathloop.
Deathloop, done. Perfect. Yes, 10 seconds. Excellent job, sir.
Boom.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to round 2. In fact, you had 20 seconds left on the clock there. Let's talk about something for 20 seconds. I guess that's time. Second round, 60 seconds long. You have 1 minute. This is often the round that trips you up.
It always does.
This only has 1 prompt this time, and I think you might do okay with it.
All right.
60 seconds.
And do the Brady Bunch? Because that one was impossible.
Name all the Brady Bunch people. No, this is not the Brady Bunch. They're similar. Round 2. Quiz Me, Captain. It's me, Margaret. 60 seconds on the clock, starting now. Name 10 of the 12 original N64 Smash characters.
Okay. Link,
1,
Mario,
2.
Bowser,
Nope.
Ganondorf? No, Ganondorf wasn't there. Star Fox, Captain
3,
Falcon,
4.
Peach, Yoshi.
Nope. 5 for Yoshi.
No Yoshi? Peach wasn't there? Okay.
Peach was not there.
Donkey Kong,
6.
Star Fox? Is it Star Fox yet?
You already said Star Fox.
Is it Captain Falcon?
Yep.
Oh God, I don't know. Let's see.
25 seconds left.
Oh, Ness.
7.
Ness.
Yep. 15 seconds.
Pikachu.
8. 2 to go.
Jigglypuff.
9. Last one. 8 seconds.
Diddy Kong? No, not
No.
Diddy Kong.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Oh,
Zelda?
Holden, you were
was
so
it?
close.
What were the other three or the 4 that I missed?
Luigi, Samus, Kirby.
Oh, Samus. How did I miss Samus? I thought of Luigi, and I'm like, no, I can see Nintendo not putting that in the first one because poor Luigi. He'll make it a Melee later on.
He was an
But
unlockable
Samus.
character. He was a secret character in the first one.
Samus. How did I miss Samus?
The full lineup is
I should get my
Luigi,
Metroid
Mario.
fan card revoked.
Yes, you should. Luigi,
Absolutely.
Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Captain Falcon, Ness, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, and Jigglypuff.
That was a tough one because I'm not a big Smash person. So
I know, and you
I
were
actually
not an
never
N64
even played the
kid.
original.
I know.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I'm actually surprised I even got 9 to be
You were
honest.
so close. So close.
I was like about to say Game & Watch so many times as well. I'm like, stop thinking Game & Watch, Holden. It's not that.
Holden, you do not get the super secret special prize today. But you do get to continue on to the next 2 rounds. Third round of Quiz Me Catman to Me Margaret is 20 seconds long. Oh, I gotta get out my timer again. 20 seconds long. And this one is something you have to sway me on or convince me of. That's what it always is. Are you ready for round 3?
Absolutely.
All right, Quiz Me Catman, it's me, Margaret. Round 3, 20 seconds on the clock starting now. Why should I get an Xbox Series X at launch?
Because it's going to have the best performance on console. So if you just want to play the games that you already have and have the best possible performance, it's the way to go. You'll have Xbox Game Pass and access to all these different games that you can test it out at. You don't have to buy any new games. You can just play the best possible experience. It'll look better. It'll run at a smoother frame rate.
You didn't do it. You didn't do it. You know what did it in for you? You told me I
What?
could play the games I already have, and all the games I already have are on PlayStation. Nice try. But we are still moving on to round 4. Are you ready for the final round of Quiz Me Catman? It's me, Margaret.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. This one's 30 seconds long. As you are aware, it's usually pairs of things, video game related. You have to get 4 correct answers in 30 seconds. There is no question or I just name 2 things and you pick the right one, whatever that might mean to me. Are you ready for final round of Quiz Me Catman? It's me, Margaret.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
30 seconds on the clock starts now. PS5 or Series X?
PS5.
Correct. HD Rumble or haptics?
Haptics.
Oh, fuck yeah, you know that. Baja Blast or Livewire?
Baja Blast.
No, Livewire is orange. It's always better. Did you know you can get 20 chicken nuggets at Burger King for just $5? Yes or no?
Yes.
No, you didn't know that ahead of time. Come on, don't lie to me. Pac-Man or Mrs. Pac-Man?
Ms.
Oh,
Pac-Man.
time is up. I'm so sorry, Holden. You only got 2 out of the 5 that you answered.
I was so confused when we started doing the chicken nuggets thing. I thought you were doing like a plug or an ad or something like that. I'm like, we have limited time, Chad. We have limited time. I'm like, oh, it's yes or no? Oh, shit. Yes.
Did you see, there was an article that was released this week that people are upset by a Burger King ad or advertising strategy that they're doing on Twitch. So gamers who are streaming on Twitch, when you give them, donate $5 or more to them, many of them have like automated bots that will read out whatever message you wanted to say. So donate $5 and say, dude, thanks for the streams. I love what you do. And this advertising company for Burger King has been going in there, donating $5 and saying, here's $5 with which you can get a Whopper and a large fry at Burger King for just $4.99. And so they're using this as stealth advertising on major streamers. So
That's really clever.
It is. It's also infuriating for a lot of streamers. Holden, that is it for Game on Game Show, and that is it for our episode 175 of Respawn Aim Fire. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. Again, please go take the poll. I'm very curious to see where you all fall on the Apple Epic argument. A couple things to keep in mind as we go. 1, barf for this month. Backlog accomplishment with Respawn and friends. The game we're all playing together. Resident Evil 4. You can play that on a ton of different systems. So play that. Go and vote. It's time for us to put up a poll.
Except for iOS and Google Play, though.
Okay, there is a version
They
of
want
Resident
to
Evil
allow
4
it on their
iOS.
platform.
There is a Resident Evil 4 version on iOS, and it is not good.
I thought they took it off.
Oh, I mean, they might have removed it because it was bad, but
not Apple didn't remove it, obviously, but
No.
like Capcom.
Capcom did have that like clean house moment where they're like, we're going to go through and make sure our IP is protected well, and we're going to take all the shitty versions of the stuff. Oh, no, maybe that was 2K because they took off BioShock.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, yeah, play Resident Evil 4. Go to patreon.com/respawn-aim-fire. Holden, is it your turn to put up a poll? September? That's you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Make sure you put up a poll tonight if possible, because it is about
I can
time.
think of some games for tonight.
Great. Vote on what we're playing in September, even though we all know we're going to be playing Avengers. And then finally, just do something good. Whether it's like make the
Treat
perfect
yourself.
chicken nugget at Burger King, of which you can get 20 for $4.99. That's under $5. What are you going to do with that extra penny? Go give it to take a penny, leave a penny at a convenience store. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next time, here's our usual sign-off. Yabba dabba doo! Well, ma!